fully loaded, prepare you for all of the above that I'm never letting get near you. But still in all, give you every advantage I found. Couldn't find a better fit for them, along with my crown. And since the baton was passed, I've been down. Cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
Welcome to another episode of Dad is Not a Noun. My name is Ishmael, changing the narrative for men of color and fatherhood, as well as changing the narrative on the things I care about. And today, what I care about is my special guest with me today. His name is the one and only Jamaal Staton. He's an amazing father. He's a comedian. He's an entrepreneur. He just created this, I call it I know it's a cliche, but a daddy daycare for young boys. And he's on the show to talk about that and a lot more. Jamaal, thank you for coming on the show. My first question I ask all my guests. All right, I'll start it all over again.
I understand.
That's the beauty of pre-recording. I can just edit it. All right, welcome to another episode of Dad is Not a Noun. My name is Ishmael, changing the narrative for men of color fatherhood, as well as changing the narrative on the things I care about. And on today's episode of the amazing podcast, I have a special guest. He is a comedian. He's a father first. He's an entrepreneur. He's just created this amazing daddy daycare for young boys. I have the one and only Jamaal Staton. Thank you for coming on the show, brother.
Thank you for having me, brother.
The first question I ask all my guests, because I'm all about mental health. How's your heart?
Oh man, the heart is great. Great support team, great support system. It's been in the best place that it's been in the 36 years of my life, man. I've been great.
That's awesome. And just talk about your journey to get to fatherhood. Did you have a great relationship with your dad? Yes, no? Like, just talk about that journey that led you into being an amazing dad.
I did not have a great relationship with my dad, but my dad was always there. I felt like he did the best that he could do with all the knowledge that he had. I don't really tear him down for what he lacked in, because he didn't have it growing up. He just didn't want to put in the work to do forward. So I've forgiven him, and I've had to step up and just reel him back in as much as I could, as much as he would allow me to. So the adolescent childhood to adulthood wasn't great, but I'm still working on him. I won't give up on my dad, because as long as I continue to work on him, I can continue to work on me.
And what are some of the positive qualities, characteristics that you have that you got from your dad? Because I know no man is perfect, but what are there any positive characteristics that you got from him?
My dad was a true people pleaser. Like, I think that's probably one of the things that I got from him. He had a really gifted way of words, man. He was a pastor. He's a pastor. He's still alive. He was a pastor. He's done a lot. So I think I've taken some of that, the stage presence, stuff like that I've transitioned over into the comedy world. I think that I've taken some of those things from him.
And just talk about that. So what came first? Was it the comedy? Was it, the entrepreneur? What came first?
Well, fatherhood came first. I became a father at the age of 19, actually. I was 19 years old when I had my first son. Wasn't really equipped to do the things that I needed to do, man, but I did the best that I could. At the time, I had a full scholarship on my way to Johnson Wells in North Carolina. I gave it up, and I went out and I started sailing full time. I started becoming a merchant marine, because financially, in order to take care of my son, I needed to make sure that I had everything that I needed at the time to provide. Us as men are providers. So with a high school education, that was the only place I could go to make enough money for 3 people to live off of, and that was the choice that I went with.
And just talk about, because I'm a strong believer, no man is an island by himself. So what was the support? Did you have that support system that helped you get through it, or you just ended up all alone?
So I had gotten married shortly after. I got married actually before my son was born. I'd gotten married, and it didn't end the way that I thought it would have, but it did come to an end. But my mother has definitely been the biggest supporter, man. I could call her and just have conversations with her. Even up until now, she'll still pick up the phone and call. So she's been my strongest supporter, my most consistent supporter, but she's slowly being relieved of those duties now. So it makes it a little bit easier for her to just enjoy life.
And and I do believe that's a important key factor of having that support system. But just talk about that struggle.
Talk about
Talk about those early struggles, being a dad and, supporting the family. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, man. So being an early dad for me was a little bit different. My wife at the time continuously went up and back and forth to New York, so I missed out on a lot of my son's childhood. I missed a lot out on the critical aspects of it because I was working before I went to become a merchant marine. I was working 2 jobs, so I was a mechanic at day and I was a chef at night. Like, it was a struggle, man. But like I said, my main focus was making sure that my son had everything that he needed. He never went with, what I'm saying? He never went one night hungry. I've gone several nights hungry before him. It was a beautiful sacrifice, man. And I honestly loved every moment of it, man. It was the best thing in the world for me at that time.
And then talk about like how did you learn those skills of being a good father? Because like you were saying that, you kind of didn't get that from your dad, kind of. So how were you able to harness those skills in your fatherhood?
Well, her family was really supportive of me at the time we were married. My ex-wife, her family was my brother-in-law Jason actually was somebody who I mimicked the most after when it came to early signs of fatherhood. He had a structure, he had a layout, and he was really involved with getting me on track of what it took to be a man. And I observed a lot from other fathers, and I tried to become things that I felt like I needed as a child. So I tried to become those. And I think that was what really, really guided me. I think a lot of that was the only guy that was around that I respected enough to listen to his opinion. But also, I remember the things that I needed as a kid and I didn't have. So I wanted to be that. I remember that.
And talk about your relationship with your kid, your first kid, and now, you're a dad of 5. So just talk about the relationship would you have with the first, and then how's that relationship with all your kids? Because I know kids are different, and you gotta,
Right. Yeah.
have
Well,
different relationships with them.
The early relationship, I wasn't there. I'll be blatantly honest. I wasn't there. There were times I would go on a boat and I would be gone for 8, 9 months a year. Barely making it home for his birthdays, and I thought those were things that he needed when he actually needed a father the entire time that I was gone. So, to be honest with you, he's the reason that I wanted to do a daddy daycare, because
Wow.
I felt like if I had a man represent me better while I was gone, that him and I would have had a better relationship, because, what I'm saying? Like, not to take anything away from his mom, or not to take anything away from any woman that has to do this, but it's a lot for a woman to raise a young boy into a man. And let alone, like, every woman isn't going to be the best woman to raise that young man. Some women, if I did something, which I was doing stuff, early on, I was a young kid, I was 19 years old when I got married, like, my cheating, it would carry over. Oh, your daddy ain't this, not saying that she did that, but,
Right.
it was room for it to happen. And, just being honest with myself, I was like, if I had a man just kind of structure him and basic things, if my father had stepped up and been that I needed, if I had what I'm saying, my brother-in-law was no longer around, but if I had him around, he would have been able to kind of step in and say, hey, your dad, what I'm saying, this is the way. And it would have just ended a lot better. But now we currently don't have a relationship at all. And I think a lot of that stems from me having kids outside of, after him, and as well as, him just feeling like they get a better version of me that he couldn't get. So, I see the pain, I see the hurt, but, it's the truth.
No, and it's sad, but at the same time, you can't go back into the past. You can only, be present. and just talk about like the things you try to do to try to keep that relationship with him.
I do a lot. He just turned, like I said, he just turned 17, so I ended up buying a car. Tried to gift it to him. It wasn't received well. You know, I still try to, you know, reach out. I still am in contact with his sister, so I'll send, you know, let you know, hey, let your brother know I love him, I miss him. You know, you never want to really give up on your child, even though they, you know, he's going through a phase where he's learning himself.
Right.
So, you know, at this point, all I can do is be patient and wait. You know.
Definitely, because I feel like he's at that age where he needs you the most. Because again, you know, every a the development of a boy, you know, there's different stages.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really important stages, especially when they're born, but especially when they, you know, enter those almost adult, when they're almost adult and they're trying to, you know, figure out, you know, the world, you know, that man, that father, that guiding hand is as critical in that time frame.
Yeah, it truly is. It truly is. But and it was rough for me because for a while I felt like I had failed, you know, and that's something that all men go through. Like, hey, like you're only as good as the fruit that you bear, and if you're, you know what I'm saying, like if you're not bearing the right fruit in your seeds that came from you, like what are you really doing as a father, you know? And I question myself about that all the time.
But at the same time, it's like you have, you know, your 4 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and you're pouring so much love in them because, you know, you missed out at that time with your first son, but you're doing a phenomenal job, you know, with your 4 kids. But just talk about that, the relationship with the 4 kids and how that relationship.
Oh, the other 4, like I said, my daughter, she's older, she's 14, but the other ones, man, listen, if it's me and their mom, they're picking me every time, man. Like I'm there. Like I haven't missed any events, I haven't missed anything. My job now is here, so I'm involved with everything. I mean, they're coming with me to comedy shows. Like they're there. Like if you look at my my profile picture now, it's them, and I have one of my sons, and I'm holding the other one's hand, and we're at a comic event, and you know, like it's different, man. I mean, I've never seen a child. I've never had the opportunity to see a child cry over you. Like,
Wow.
I don't want to go with my mommy, I want my dad, and that is like when you know you won. Like that's like the Steph Curry, I'm gonna let it go, and I know it's in there. You know what I mean?
You walk away without looking.
Yeah, I don't even need to look. Like, yeah, I'm doing that as a dad. You know what I mean? So
that's awesome. And how's your relationship individually with them? Because I know when you have kids, they're all a little different.
So I do a thing. It actually, I should have done this with my son, but I tried to do it and it was a little too late. I think he was like 16 when I tried to do it, 15 or 16. But I take him on dates. Okay. I'm like, hey, we're gonna go out. I'm gonna come pick you up, you know, and it's just me and you. And even though you know the youngest one can't talk yet, but it's nobody else but me and him.
Right.
And we'll sit there and just conditioning it like, hey, this is your one-on-one time with your dad. Anything you want to talk about, anything you want to ask me, anything that you know, and it's helping just develop a better relationship. And like I said, like I have a date this afternoon, so but that's not until like a couple of hours, man. But it's exciting because they'll call in the morning, hey, today's my date, right? You know, and you kind of get that like, okay, yeah.
Giving you the heads up.
yeah. It's like, yo, hey, I don't care. But if you think about it, you know, 4 days out of the week, I'm busy with my kids, you know, so I couldn't ask for any better way to spend my time.
That's awesome. And then talk about like that partnership with your wife, because it's got to be a team effort, you know, with the kids. So talk about that partnership dynamic and how it works.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this, but my younger 3 kids were all a result of me being in the streets because I was married for 10 years. So I have each one has a different mom. So that was me being like kind of in the streets, like trying to, you know, like I said, I was married for 10 years and then I was trying to figure out who I was as a man. Thought it was by laying with every woman and conquering everything, which wasn't the way.
Right.
But it did result in beautiful kids, and we have a great dynamic, man. So all of them actually do the most to make sure that I stay on my P's and Q's when it comes to being a father. So I would have to credit all of them for making me that father. But yeah, it's been real, and I'm not doing it alone. My fiance actually is pretty, pretty heavy in everything. She's the one who keeps me in check, you know what I'm saying? Not to discredit anyone else, but they all do their parts in which they can.
And I think the awesome thing about your story is just the evolution and the growth into your manhood. Some figure it out like early in their life, some figure it out later in their life, but you figure it out, you know what?
Yeah.
And no one's story is perfect. No one has a perfect story. You know what I mean? We all have our highs and lows, but what we learn from it and what we pass on is the most important thing. And I love that, you understood like your past, but you're not allowing it to hinder your present.
Right.
And your relationship with your kids and just your relationship with everybody. And I think that kind of transitions into your male daycare center. So talk about that.
Yeah. So the daycare center is really like a big new thing for me. This is something that I wanted to do. I had spoke about it, man, and I was like, I would like to see it because it came about, man. My middle son, his mom had a surgery, and the daycare lady was closed that he was going to. But my son was always whiny. He was always fussy. He would never really like try to figure stuff out. So I got it started when he was with me for a week, and I saw it instantly stop.
Right.
He was like, "Daddy, I want this. Daddy, I want this." It was no more,
Right.
and you see that, and you're like, "Wait, hold up. So you knew this the whole time?" And in that short period of time of me having him for a week, he went back to daycare, and she was like, "Well, what did you do to him?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, we've been together for, I literally had him from sunup to sundown by myself, and doing everything with him." And I noticed that, and everyone noticed that change like immediately, like small things that you do, and you don't even notice that you do them as a dad, but it was like it was needed. And that's what got me started. And then I probably took about maybe a year to just thinking about like if I want to do it. And then one day I just said, I got some help. I was like, yeah, let's open this daycare. Let's do it.
To talk about like talk about the challenges that you have running a daycare.
Man, the challenges. So recently I posted on TikTok, and that's how you found me. But you have to deal with immediately, man. First thing they think of is a male run daycare. Nah, you're gonna be touching the kids.
Right.
You're giving me, what I'm saying? I've heard everything from you're gonna be out, what I'm saying? Like it sounds like Club Scouts vibes. Oh, you sound like the priest, the Pope. Everything was negative, man. And I was like, but I looked up stories, and you can find these same stories that you're accusing me of. Women have done them. Yeah. I was like, I've seen the case where a woman put the kids in the oven.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so why would you risk sending your child to that daycare just because, yes, women are more nurturing. Right. However, there comes a point in time where you'll say that a male needs his father. Right. So, my whole goal was to set it up so that, hey, your dad may not be here. He may be overseas. He may be in jail. He may not just be present in your life. Right. But you have to learn how to deal with men and become one. Yeah. And I really took it as amongst myself to say, hey, I'm going to sit here to make sure that I give you the tools that make you the best that you possibly can be.
And I love what you're doing because you're reaching them at that age where they're soaking so much information. Yes. And to have that mentorship at that early age is transformative, because a lot of kids at the age when they go to daycare, not a lot. I would say some may not see a male role model. Mm. Whether if the father's not involved or maybe the father is, but the father's constantly working. Mm-hmm. And the only time he sees the kid, the only time when the child sees the kid is when the father comes home at night.
Yeah. And And with that being said, like I had one of the fathers came to me and told me recently, he was like, yo, I thank you because you've made it easier for me to bond with my kid, because he was dealing with the same whiny stuff that that I had once dealt with. And he told me, he was like, yo, now when I get home from work, like I don't have to worry. Like I can sit down and watch a TV show, still engage with him while I'm relaxing after working a 12-hour shift, because he's able to talk to me at the age of 2. And I was like, he needs that bonding. I kept telling him, this is why I took on the name coach. I feel like I'm coaching the dads who are 19 and where I was, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to how I am now. I have to coach you as a father to be a father, because you may have come up with the same background that I've had. Right. So it may take me to also, while I'm doing the work for your son, I'm also coaching you on how to deal with your son. Hey, when he's throwing a fit, maybe he might want this. So sit him down and talk to him. And I get to really like change two people's lives and the relationship. Right. So that's why I love doing it this way.
And I love it too, because I want to push back when you were saying that, yes, women are nurturers. Men are nurturers too. And that's what you're doing. You're nurturing these young men, and you're helping them have these conversations where they have a better relationship with their dad or their mother or whoever's raising them. And you teaching them the idea of have the empathy and understanding, and which, is important for a human being.
Yeah, very important, man. And like I said, I didn't realize how big of a deal this would become, but I mean, after posting it, got filled up, man. Like I only had 5 slots because I'm doing it out of home, and I had somebody hit me up about coming to their establishment. And, you know what I'm saying? Like it's so much things that have unfolded from this, and I've had people now reaching out and asking how they can get something like that in their city, how they can start their own. And I'm like, and I explain, like I'm building relationships from that, and I'm explaining to them like, hey, even if you don't want to open up a facility and do it full time, take a day off and go to a little daycare and just build a relationship and just have all the boys come hang out with you for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I totally agree with you. And I think it takes one person to spark that fire.
Yeah.
To get people involved in the community. Because there's a difference than someone saying, yeah, I want to do something for the community. Yeah. And then someone's actually doing something for the community with what you are doing.
Absolutely. And a lot of people were concerned about like how much you're getting paid. Is it enough to suffice for? But if I did this for money, I wouldn't do it, to be honest with you. I mean, you're getting paid less than $5 an hour to watch kids. But the reward comes when, if you look in the video that I posted on TikTok, I have 2 god kids.
Right.
And their level of love and appreciation for me and what I've done, and you know what I'm saying, like that's what I do it for. Like every time that I go to one of their basketball games, right after they give their mom and dad a hug, I'm right there and they're hugging me, you know what I'm saying, thanking me, and it's a feeling that can never be replaced by any dollar amount, but it is what it is, but it really helps, man. And those kids now, like, coming full circle, they're teenagers now.
Yeah.
So they're coming to me, helping me with my daycare, helping me with, you know what I'm saying? And kid is how to raise a child or how to be a man and a nurturer without the stereotypes of, you know what I'm saying, like having to worry about like, oh, you think I'm a woman because I have a daycare, or they just like, hey, I'm good at this and I'm going to be great at it. And I'm learning how to be a father, and these tools I'm going to use when it comes my time to be a dad. So, that's what I like. And
you're doing amazing work, man. And that's why the reason why I wanted you to come on the podcast to share that story, because, percentage wise, I think it's less than 3% of Black males are teachers in the country. Yeah. That's, which we make as a society, Black people, we're, I think, less than 13% of the population in the United States. Yeah. And so I think it's important that kids of color see teachers and like yourself that look like themselves, because it just builds up their self-esteem, and hopefully that creates a wave of future Black young male teachers in the future, which is really needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely needed. This is I feel like one of the things that's needed the most, man. I don't think that Black men understand how valuable that a Black child looks up to you as. For example, my middle son, he's 2, and I left him with my friend, which is another Black man that I fully trust. I left him with my friend, and not one time did he have to raise his voice, not one time did he have to threaten to hit him, not one time, because of the level of respect that that child has for a Black man, because he's seen what and it's just a good feeling, great feeling.
Definitely, man. And it's been a great feeling having a conversation with you. But before we end this amazing conversation, what advice do you have for dads, especially like dads that's about to have a kid, or just dads in general? What advice through your past experience?
My best advice for any dad is to conquer all your fears as best you can. The reason that I say that is because your child may, if you have a fear of water, your child may want to learn how to swim, and you got to show them, hey, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? Like you may be in a situation where your child wants to train dogs, and you may have a fear of dogs, and you're going to say, hey, I can get through this. I'm not going to allow my fear to hinder your growth. And I think once a man does that, once a father does that, and the kid can even see you and take them with you to let them know, hey, I have a fear of this, but my love of you conquers any fear, and I love you more than my fear, so I'm gonna get over this for you. And when a child sees you going through that, I just think it just sets off a different lightweight, like it sets off a different relationship or anything. Like everything is different from that point on. So my advice is to conquer every fear. Like I had a fear of losing my hairline. And if you ever notice, my daughter gave me the haircut that you see right now. Yeah. Yes, this is a result of my 14-year-old cutting my hair. The biggest fear I had, I'm sweating bullets. And in the video, she said, "You remember when you burnt me with a curling iron?" Yeah.
Kids don't forget.
Nah, they do not, man. So just any fear, conquer it, man. I think that's what I live by now. You know what I mean? So
definitely, man. How can people find you?
Okay. On all my social media platforms, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, at Coachmaal. I think on Instagram it's Coachmaal04. And if you're looking for me on Facebook, Jamaal Staton. Simple as that. So yeah, come find me, man. I'm gonna be updating everybody on everything that I have going on. It's gonna be constant updates of the daycare, child growth. I got the kids' parents signing off waivers so I can post them and stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? You'll see our trips. Like I told him today, we took the kids over to the Navy base, and we took them on trips because we have a couple of our kids that have dads in the Navy. So if their dad can't show them the boat, working hard, this is what he's working on. This is the boat. And we had somebody kind of show them around. Like, yes, they may not fully understand, but it's an experience that we can expound on. So
definitely. And then also, how can if a dad in your area want to get involved, like how can they get involved? They just reach out to you?
Same way, reach out to me, man. Facebook, Instagram, email is JamaalStaton.com. I'm sorry, at gmail.com. Anyway, if you message me, I am very involved. I'm probably going to try to fill you out at one of my comedy shows and be like, look, if you're gonna come, you got to come to my stand-up. But
there you go.
Yeah, but nah, I'm here all day, man. I definitely would love to get more males involved because it'll make it a lot easier for me. And just coaching men on being a dad, like that's the real work, you know. Like somebody may not know that they needed help with coaching or they needed help working on their patients until, you know, they come and we have a conversation and we fix it. We have to help each other. That's what building a community is about.
Definitely, man. I thank you for coming on. All his information will be in the bio. It will be not in the bio, but it will be in the description below. Again, this has been an amazing conversation on the podcast. Again, like, subscribe. You know, I'm everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Google me. You'll find me. And we're out.
Peace. Peace.
Everything you're doing from here on out, if it didn't have purpose before, now it has purpose. It's the most important thing you'll ever do.
Just be a dad.